Hey guys, let's talk about broadhead, shall we? As if there's not enough broadhead talk on Facebook. Some of these posts. What's the best broadhead? Have you seen this broadhead? You see the pictures and the gaping holes in the side of deer. And, at some point you just have to say, okay, where does it end? Does it ever end? So my choice, my broadhead of choice is the Flying Arrow Archery Toxic broadhead. I've been shooting it before I was on pro staff with Flying Arrow. I just like it. I like the damage it does. I like the flight that I get. Like the consistency with weight grains on each from different broadheads. But the thing about Flying Arrow Archery Toxic is that broadhead is outside the box. It looks different. It looks funny, and because of that, people say different things. Number one, I think one of the things I've heard is that they whistle or they make noise. How do you hear that? My hearing's not the best, but an arrow, 280 feet per second arrow at 30 yards is 192 miles an hour. It's in flight for a third of a second. It's like 0.3 something seconds. I don't know how you hear that, but if you did, hey, more to you. But I really don't think it's your broadhead. I think it's probably something with your fletchings if you're hearing some noise. So just check that out. So shot a lot of broadheads in my days. I've been shooting a lot of years. I've never heard a broadhead whistle. So I don't know. Maybe you hear it. Maybe I can't hear it. But I did a video, put a remote camera on a target, run a video on the video editor, turn the volume way up, see if I could hear it. I couldn't hear anything. It's too fast anyway. So with that being said, let's look at the design of these broadheads. Let's look at mechanical broadheads. If you look at a mechanical broadhead, generally speaking, most of them are 2 or 3 blade. They open one of 2 ways. They have a O-ring or a collar or something, and they open like this, or there's a O-ring or collar at the bottom that pushes forward and releases the blades. Or there's I don't know what you want to call it, but take like a 2 blade, it opens up like this. The blades slide backwards. They're pushed back like this. They're generally the same. If you look at a expandable broadhead from the front view, a lot of them you can't even tell them apart because it's the same view. They have a large cut. For a lot of guys, they want the big cut. That's fine. Hey, we're all on the same team. It's okay that we shoot different broadheads. It's okay. And you're going to be successful. You're going to kill deer every single year if you're shooting swackers or rages or whack'ems or executioners. Nap kill zone, any of them. You're going to kill deer with those as long as your bow's tuned. Remember that. And we'll look at some other fixed blades. Some are solid one piece. You can't change the blades on this one, but you can sharpen it. So some of the others, like the tried and true Muzzy, you take the tip off, take your blades off, put the tip back on, put your blades on. That's the nature of the beast. Some of them are replaceable blades, some are not. The Flying Arrow Archery Toxic blades are replaceable. To answer that question, yes. If you shoot an animal with a Toxic and you encounter bone with that, the blades are going to open up. They're going to bend and open up, and I'll show you a picture of that. Matter of fact, I've got one right here. They're going to open up when you hit something hard. They're made to do that. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to open up, and it gives a little bit bigger cut. It eases that penetration on the broadhead to try to get through that bone. It's got this hardened steel chisel tip on the end of it. Good penetration tip, and yeah, if you shoot a deer or an animal and you get some bone in there, maybe even some cartilage, you're gonna have to replace the blades. They're $10 or $12 for a pack to replace an entire package. So, yeah, that's the nature of the beast. If you don't want to have to replace blades and you want to resharpen your blades every time, that's great, awesome. But for me, I'm not good at sharpening things, so I like to replace the blades. So that's one of the things. And something else, I've also heard about the Toxic. It gets clogged up with meat and hair and fatty tissues and stuff like that. I've killed 12 whitetail with a Toxic, and the only thing I'm digging out of my broadheads is dirt because they're going through and they're stuck in the dirt on the other side. So, I don't know what to tell you on that. I've never experienced that. Maybe if you didn't get a pass through and you're pulling that arrow back, you're pulling it backwards, the back of these blades are catching on that meat and you're pulling the meat out. So when you pull the blade out like that, it's got meat all over it. That's a possibility. I guess I could see where you would think that possibly, but I've not seen that happen. So personally, I don't know where that comes from. But back to that penetration thing with the Toxic. Let's remember the Toxic is essentially a 6-blade broadhead. The blades curled around. They almost touch, but it's three independent blades, but there's like 2 blades on each. So it's essentially a 6-blade broadhead. With that comes 5 inches of cutting surface. So each blade, if you measure the distance on each one of those, that's 5 inches of cutting surface. A little bit more weight is not going to hurt you. Just put a little weight, get a little more momentum in your bow. Don't look at kinetic energy, look at momentum. So with that said, put a little more weight in your arrow, do a little bit of bow tuning, get the right spine weight, put your Toxic broadhead on, go be successful. If you choose not to shoot a Toxic broadhead, that's okay too. I'm not going to hate you. Just know your limitations, know your bow, tune your bow, get the right spine, make sure that your bow's operating at maximum efficiency, put a little bit more weight in your arrow, put a little more front and center, get that momentum built up, and I don't care what you're shooting, you're going to be successful, because every broadhead that I've shown you today or talked about today will kill a deer or an elk or a moose or a bear or an antelope or a mule deer. Every one of them will do the job. You just have to make sure your equipment's right. And I think the Flying Arrow Archery Toxic does it a little bit better because of the technology that's built into it. And I'm going to tell you one more thing too. The guy that designed this broadhead has probably forgot more about hunting than I'll ever know in my life. This is not his first broadhead that he's ever designed, and this is not his first archery company. Just a little information. So the technology went in the Toxic was not just something thought up overnight. It's not a gimmick. It's not a toy. It's not a small game head. They make a small game head. It's plastic. This is a real deal broadhead, and there are guys every single season killing moose, black bear, elk, white-tailed deer, large North American game with the Toxic broadhead every single season, and they're successful. So for those of you that are on social media sites and you want to insist that the Toxic is a gimmick, then you need to talk to those folks that have shot these animals. So blood loss, quick kills, and I think the Toxic gets that job done. And I think if you build your arrow with a proper spine weight, first of all, for your bow is tuned, and you have enough weight and enough front and center arrow, you're not going to have any problem whatsoever. So I think we need to stop with some of the broadhead bashing. So do those things, get yourself some Toxic broadheads, and get out there, and most importantly, above anything else, you hunt the way you want to hunt, and you have fun. If you want to shoot a spike buck, and you've got a tag and it's legal in your state, you know what? Shoot it and enjoy. We're all hunters. We're all on the same team. And I don't care what broadhead you're shooting. If you want to harvest an animal and you've got a tag for it and it's legal in your area, knock yourself out. All right. We'll see y'all later. Good luck this season.